What if your customers are trying to find your business online, but instead of finding you, they find your competitors? Now, more than ever, it's time to make sure you have the right SEO to make your business stand out online. Welcome to Go Mind Your Business with Terri Bork, presented by Extreme Marketing Concepts, putting your business in front of the hungry herd of buyers who are looking for you right now. Extreme Marketing Concepts, helping you drive more traffic, dominate the market, and crush your competition. And now, here's Terri.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Go Mind Your Business. My name is Terri Bork, and you are listening to Go Mind Your Business on all of your business radio here at the TalkWad Network. I'm really excited today. I have a very special guest. I have personal injury attorney Andres Oliveros. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Terri. I appreciate it. It's great being here.
Oh, great. I'm really excited to have you on our show today. As I said, Andres is a personal injury attorney in both Tampa and Sebring, and he does service the entire Florida population, so you don't need to be specifically in those two locations. So great to have you, and it's a very busy holiday season. I appreciate you taking time out of your holiday to come and spend a little bit of time with us.
Certainly.
Awesome. Well, our show today is brought to you by Extreme Marketing Concepts. Extreme Marketing Concepts helps business owners leverage online media to get their message out to more people with less effort and more profit. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest today, Andres Oliveros. As I said, he's a personal injury attorney, and he serves the entire state of Florida. And again, he has offices in Hillsborough County, in Tampa, and in Highlands County over in Sebring. And Andres focuses on car accident injury cases and getting hurt people back on their feet financially, physically, and emotionally. So again, Andres, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Terri.
Yep, no problem. So tell us, how did you choose the personal injury arena?
It's funny you asked, Terri, because I feel that personal injury chose me.
Okay.
As soon as I got out of law school, I went into the military, into the Marine Corps as a JAG officer.
Okay.
So I was a lawyer in the military. And this type of law, at least for JAG officers, does not exist in the military. Most of the time, what you are assigned as a young JAG officer is to either prosecute service members who committed crimes or defend those same service members. So I did that for the majority of my time in the Marine Corps, which was just over 4 years. And when I left the Marine Corps, I decided that I wanted to open my own practice.
Okay.
So naturally, I began to do what I was most familiar with, which was defending clients that were accused of criminal offenses. And about 8 months into my opening my practice, one of my closest family members was involved in a very serious car accident.
Okay.
Everyone looked at me and said, "Andres, you're a lawyer. You can handle this, right?" And, I had no idea what to do or how to do it. But just like, everything else, every other challenge that you're presented with in life, you figure it out and get yourself up to speed on the law. So due to that initial family member being involved in an accident, I got to see all facets of the entire practice of personal injury representation and really how it affects an individual's life. And that was almost 5 years ago now.
Wow.
And I'm to the point now where although I do take other cases that do not fall squarely within the realm of personal injury, what I really focus on and dedicate myself to almost 90% of the practice is personal injury representation.
Awesome. That's great. Now, for those of you who are just joining in, I am speaking with Andres Oliveros, personal injury attorney, and he services the entire state of Florida. Andres actually has 2 offices to serve you. He is in Tampa down on Cypress Street, West Cypress Street, and he's also in Sebring on US Highway 27 in North Sebring. So he's very easy to find. And another great thing about Andres is that he's bilingual, and he's able to help you if you speak English. And those of you who speak Spanish, he's able to help you with your injury claim as well. So I know that, especially in a Spanish population, there's not a lot of bilingual attorneys. So I think that there can be some challenges there for folks who need a Spanish lawyer.
Absolutely. And while there are certainly a few Spanish-speaking attorneys in the Tampa area who handle personal injury claims, in an area like Sebring and in most rural areas in Florida, there really aren't that many. And at least not in the numbers that there should be, given the high level of the population of the Spanish speakers that are now in our rural areas in Florida. So with that office in Sebring, I've been able to take numerous cases just north of Sebring in Polk County, which, although Bartow and Lakeland are medium-sized cities, the majority of that county is very rural. And there's a lot of little towns and villages throughout with many Spanish-speaking individuals, many of them in the agricultural services field, who don't have an attorney that can adequately represent them and understand their concerns.
Sure.
And one of the things that I would like to mention is that many of these people do not know that immigration status does not affect at all your ability to present a claim and to take a claim to court for someone that has wronged you, someone that has put you in a position through their negligence.
Okay.
Doesn't matter that you're still waiting for a petition to be approved. Doesn't matter that you may not have the full the full status that you're entitled to under the immigration laws in order for you to pursue a claim. So that's
great. And I could imagine that maybe a lot of folks in the Hispanic community might be worried specifically about that type of problem.
Exactly.
Well, that's great to know that they don't have to worry about that. Another great service that Andres offers is his website. His English website is www.oliveroslaw.com, and that's OLIVEROSLAW, oliveroslaw.com. For our Spanish community, he has a website at www.injuryattorney.es. So, both sites will help you out. They both say the exact same thing, but they're just dedicated to the language that you are more preferable in using. So, Andreas, what's the first thing that I should do after I have an accident?
If you remember nothing else from what I tell you, Terry, remember this. You should shut your mouth after you have an accident. And I know it sounds crude.
Okay.
And it sounds very simplistic and very strategic. But let's face it. These insurance companies exist to make money.
Okay.
And the only way they make money is by making sure that they pay you very little or zero in as many situations as they can.
Okay.
From the word go, they are there to gain a tactical advantage on your case, whether it's your insurance company or the other person's insurance company. Many people think that, well, if it's my insurance company, they are on my side in every single situation, and that's simply not true for reasons that we can discuss later.
Okay.
So if those of you listening remember nothing else, you should shut your mouth after you have an accident. There's several other things that you should do, but that should be the first, because anytime that you make statements, whether they're verbal statements or written statements, all of that can eventually be used against you. And 9 times out of 10, where a tactical advantage can be gained through using your words against you, that insurance company or that individual that may be presenting a suit against you down the line will do so. So that really is that really is the very best piece of advice that I can give, because if I can't even feel comfortable saying only say good things or only say things that will help you, because as a layperson, meaning as someone who is not intricately knowledgeable with the finer points of the law and how it is that these types of claims play themselves out, something you think should help you or will help you, in fact, may actually harm you.
Sure. You have no idea because you're so nervous.
Correct. And the fact that you were nervous, that you may have been beat up and hurting at that moment when you were on the phone with an adjuster, when you were talking to a police officer, doesn't necessarily carry the day. You said what you said, and it is easier to prosecute a claim where I don't have my client out there making certain statements than it is where I have that person making certain statements that I have to now try to unscrew from what the other folks on the other side of the table are trying to construe them as.
Got it. Okay. Lots of times folks just get tapped in an accident. There's really not a lot of damage on a car, and you think, it's nothing. Is it important to talk to a lawyer at that point, or do I always need to talk to one?
I think you do, especially because, and I can say this with a good conscience, because in this type of law, even though it's not required, 99% of the time, you're only paying an attorney from compensation that you may get or may not get down the road.
Okay.
So the client has very little to lose. Again, 99% of the time, you're not going to walk in an attorney's office and make a down payment or start to pay by the hour or give a retainer or anything like that.
Okay.
So especially in this field, you're going to be able to get a free consultation. So it really doesn't harm you financially in any way to go and get an expert opinion.
Okay.
No matter what side you're on. So, I've had cases where my client has actually been the one to rear end somebody else.
Okay.
But because that other individual was documented as being distracted, being on the phone, my client has actually, who was hurt in the accident, was able to make a recovery. So you just don't know. And the worst thing that could happen, in my mind, is for someone who legitimately suffers injuries and that are due to the negligence of someone else, thinking, I cannot get treatment. There's nothing that I can do about this situation. I should just forget about this and continue in pain, because as turned upside down as our healthcare system is, this is really one area where almost every one of us in Florida, if we are carrying the insurance that is mandated by law, we have the opportunity to go and get checked out and not necessarily be concerned that the money's not going to be there to pay for the treatment.
Got it. Okay. That's great. Now, when is the best time to pick up the phone and call the lawyer? Is it right there at the scene? Is it the next day? Is it a week, a month from now?
I would say as quickly as you can, with due regard to the safety of your passengers or the other people involved in the accident or passersby. I've had many times folks call me from the accident scene, and if I am nearby, I will go just so I can take pictures. I can see exactly where the vehicles ended up, and again, gain an advantage over my eventual adversary, who will likely not have pictures from the scene. So,
Awesome.
At the same time, if you're in an accident that is so severe that you're being taken away in an ambulance, and you're concerned about your family, getting in touch with your family so that they can meet you at the hospital, well, of course, you should make arrangements first for your health care to be addressed the way that it needs to be addressed, and for your family to be there. And then, really, not not everything is lost, or maybe not even anything is lost by waiting a few hours or waiting until the next day to
Okay.
call the attorney. But I've been in enough situations to know
Sure.
that those that are on the other side will stop at very little to gain that little any tactical advantage that they can.
Sure.
So I'd rather be in a position where I can help my client the most, and the earlier that I get involved in the process, the more likely it is that I'm going to be able to help that person and preserve their rights for down the road.
Awesome. If you're just joining us, we are speaking with attorney Andres Oliveros, personal injury attorney serving the entire state of Florida. I urge you to get your cell phone out right now and pop his number right in there. So if you do need an attorney, you can pick up the phone and call him right away. His number is 888-467-0312. My name is Terri Bork, and you are listening to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio. Andreas, what if I don't have insurance? What happens?
Well, if you don't have insurance, first of all, I must tell you that you're breaking the law if you own a vehicle or driving a vehicle. You're required to carry insurance in the state of Florida, and there are certain coverages that you're required to have. But if you don't have insurance, that does not necessarily mean that you don't have a way to recover for your loss,
Okay.
for any damages that you're due. In the first place, you could be a passenger in the vehicle. And if you're a mere passenger in the vehicle, you don't own a car, you're not required to carry insurance.
Okay.
In those situations, the insurance coverage of the person driving that vehicle and the insurance coverage of the person who owns that vehicle would be able to cover you, provided that they have the applicable coverages, and of course, depending on who's at fault in the accident. And then, of course, if you're a passenger and you are involved in an accident caused by another vehicle, not the vehicle you're riding in, then, of course, that vehicle and that driver are required to carry insurance. And if they have the applicable coverages, well, then you're going to be covered as well.
Got it. Okay.
So it's not just because you don't have your own insurance policy does not mean that you're not going to get your medical costs paid for, or that you're not due compensation for your losses.
Okay, great. I know that a lot of fear of folks who have an automobile accident is that they're worried they're going to get a ticket. So is that a reason not to call a cop, or do you get a ticket every time you have an accident? How's that work?
No. In fact, there are several law enforcement agencies that just do not issue tickets. They whether it's a written policy, it's been determined that they do not assign fault in an accident, and they don't issue tickets. But even if you do get a ticket, it's important to keep in mind that that is a determination that's made by one individual or one law enforcement agency.
Got it.
Many folks think, oh, that's it. This person has given me a ticket, even though it's a complicated situation. The car was coming out of the parking lot, and then I was I was heading north on the street, and it's sort of a fuzzy situation in terms of who's at fault, liability. I got the ticket, so that's it. I can't go forward, even though I have this terrible pain in my shoulder, and I should not go see a doctor. Well, that's just not necessarily true. It's important, again, to reiterate that the issuance of a citation is only let's call it the opinion, let's say, of one officer or one agency, and that is not the end all be all. We have to the individual, of course, will have to address the ticket. Doesn't mean that they don't have to pay it. Yes, they may have to pay it, or they can fight it, of course, and go through that whole process, depending on whether it's a civil infraction or a criminal infraction. But that does not control the outcome of any injury claim that you present.
Got it. Okay.
And the situation I described, especially when a parking lot is involved, or where it's a tricky intersection, and it's not something as straightforward as a rear end accident, that situation comes up quite a lot, Terry. And people need to know and understand that that decision that the officer makes on the spot does not control everything. I think right now in my office, we have at least 3 cases where we are representing the person who actually received the ticket.
Okay.
And it's not to say that that we take all of those cases. No, we have to do our own due diligence and investigate, do our own investigation of the circumstances surrounding the accident, and then see if it's likely that the wrong call has been made by the law enforcement officer, and then agree to take on the case and prosecute it. So again, give us a call.
Right.
You never know exactly what a final determination is going to be, and ultimately, these questions of liability are decided by a judge or a jury in a court of law.
Okay.
The police officer who was on the scene and investigated it would have a chance to, or there's a possibility that that individual may come and testify and give evidence. But again, usually 99% of the time in trial, it's up to a jury to come to a decision as to who it is that they believe and what the apportionment of fault is going to be in any given accident.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's really helpful. So I guess it's it's better to have the cops there and make sure that everybody's protected the right way. What if you are hurt in your accident, Andres, can you help me find medical treatment?
Sure. We have when you are dealing with these types of cases and dealing with clients who need constant medical treatment, you come to know many of the professionals in the area who address these types of issues and these types of injuries, everything from orthopedic specialists to psychiatric specialists for the more serious accidents. So we can assist. We do not direct treatment. We don't force people to go get treatment that they don't need, but certainly if they need recommendations, we're there to make those recommendations. But really, the person you should be listening to is your doctor.
Okay.
You should. The doctor is the one with the medical training and the medical expertise, and the person who's in the best position to direct the treatment, give you advice, and tell you exactly what you need to be doing.
Okay. Do I need to pay any money for this treatment at the time when it's rendered?
Usually not. In Florida, we have a system that is the personal injury protection statute. And under that statute, every single insurance policy that's issued in the state of Florida is required to provide that policyholder and certain other individuals who may not be named in the policy at least $10,000 in coverage, which will pay for 80% of your medical treatment. So there are some medical providers that do not accept this type of insurance coverage, but a great majority of them do.
Got it. Okay.
So if you're dealing with a provider that does accept that coverage, they will bill your insurance company, your auto insurance company, under your PIP coverage, the personal injury protection coverage, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have to pay for that treatment up front.
Okay, great. That's great. And then if there's any outstanding bill left over after the insurance, might that be the time that I would have to open my wallet, or is that, kind of handled up in the whole insurance process?
Perhaps. We try to avoid that situation as much as possible. As your attorneys, our job is to put you in the best
Got it.
financial position possible.
Absolutely.
We try to avoid that every time
Mhm.
in any way that we can. And if there is if the proper liability coverage exists, or if you as an individual carry your own uninsured motorist coverage, then most of the time those coverages, if and when they pay out at the end of the claims process or after a jury verdict, they will cover that 20% that is not paid and any other medical bills that have not yet been paid. Doesn't happen in every case. Every case is different because each one of us carries different coverages. So it's hard for me to make a blanket statement.
Sure.
But the majority of the time, those expenses will be paid for.
I got it. You're listening to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio. My name is Terri Bork, and my special guest today is Andres Oliveros. If you've been involved in an automobile accident or a member of your family has been, and you're looking for a lawyer who does practice with integrity, I recommend that you give Andres a call at 888-467-0312. We're going to take a break and have a commercial from our sponsor, Extreme Marketing Concepts, putting your business in front of the hungry herd of buyers right now. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about health insurance and automobile accidents with Andreas. We'll be right back in just a moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio. My name is Terri Bork with Extreme Marketing Concepts. And Extreme Marketing Concepts help people leverage online media to get their message out to more people with less effort and more profit. Again, my very special guest today is Andres Oliveros, personal injury attorney serving the entire state of Florida with offices in Sebring and in Tampa. If you've been involved in an automobile accident, you can reach Andreas directly by giving him a call at 888-467-0312. You can also visit his website if you have questions by visiting www.oliveroslaw.com. Or if you prefer a Spanish website and that's easier for you, you can visit his Spanish website by visiting www.injuryattorney.es. Andreas, welcome back.
Thank you, Terri.
Yep. So we've been talking about if you've gotten hurt in an automobile accident, and we've been talking about your out-of-pocket costs. And a lot of folks carry health insurance. Will the health insurance help somebody who's been involved in an automobile accident?
Yes, generally, yes. It's usually better to have private health insurance in an automobile accident scenario than not to have private health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But while it will help, I must make it clear that if you don't have it, it will not necessarily hurt because of the way that these auto claims get paid. But to answer your question, yes, it usually will help because, like I was saying before, for those medical providers that are not set up and do not regularly bill auto insurance, almost all of them will bill private health insurance. And having that private health insurance then gives you a wider array of options when you're deciding where it is that you'd like to receive your treatment.
Got it. Okay.
So many folks have questions. The next question usually is, well, okay, of course I'm going to go with my private health insurance because they pay for everything, and that's going to allow me to collect more from my settlement at the end. And one thing I would like to explain that's important is that the private health insurers are entitled to be reimbursed at the end of the case for the expenses that they paid on your behalf that are related to your accident.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean that that they get paid dollar for dollar. That's, again, our job is to put you in the best financial position possible. And as a part of that, what we do is we negotiate aggressively at the end of the case to lower the amount that must be reimbursed to those insurance companies, so that there is as much money left in your pocket so that you can pay for any future medical expenses that you're going to have.
Got it. Okay. We're talking about getting hurt, and a lot of times, you have an accident and it's a little bump, and you don't think anything is wrong with you, and you leave and you think you're all fine, and then you're worried because the next day, it was a little harder maybe than you anticipated, and you're kind of feeling funky. Have you lost your ability to contact an attorney at that point in time and have medical problems?
No, you haven't. Certainly, it's better to seek the treatment that you need as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, and some folks may think that that this is a little bit taking things a little bit too far, but I would say that if it's at all a concern to you, and you feel any type of pain at all,
Mm-hmm.
that you should get yourself checked out.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean go to the emergency room. Doesn't necessarily mean go to the urgent care center, but at least see your primary care physician.
Okay.
Go see your doctor and have it documented that
Okay.
you sought that treatment.
Okay.
You sought a medical opinion as soon after the accident as possible. Why do I say that? Why don't I say, oh, Terry, just wait until you're really, really hurt and then go to the doctor? Wait 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and see if you can walk it off. See if you can stand it, and see if it'll just go away. I don't say that because, again, it goes back to the tactical advantages that insurers are always seeking if and when it does turn into a more serious condition. And we see that very often. It's not that first day, maybe not even the second day, but that third day, fourth day, and fifth day where it really starts to,
Got it.
where
Okay.
the pain really starts to set in. At the end, any chance that they get to come back and say, oh, well, Terry, hang on a second here. It looks you didn't report any injury at the accident, and you didn't go to go see a doctor the next day or even the day after that. You
Mhm.
waited 3 days, or you
Right.
waited 4 or 5, how much ever long to go seek that treatment. I don't think you're really hurt. I don't think you're really owed anything. I mean, come on. I think the chances are that you're probably just making this up.
Mhm.
And you could be in the worst pain possible.
Mhm.
You could have all sorts of specialists down the road come and say, these are acute injuries. These are it's medically, it's within a reasonable medical probability that these injuries are related to the accident. But if they can say that you did not go see a doctor, you did not get medical treatment right away, then it will always be used against you. And you better believe that if your case goes to court, that they're going to bring that up in front of a jury, and it's just going to hurt you. So, we have this PIP system, this personal injury protection system here in Florida, for better or for worse, and it's intended to give you the peace of mind to know that you can go get checked out, and that the vast majority of your costs are going to be paid for. Darn it, given these high insurance premiums, you should use it. That's
Absolutely.
coverage that you pay for. You should use it. You
Right.
should preserve your rights.
Okay.
So when in doubt, go see a doctor.
When in doubt, get checked out. There you go.
There you go.
I love it. Okay.
And it's not only, again, most importantly for your health. Really, your health is number one.
Absolutely.
But you've come to see me. You've hired me because you want your financial interest also to be preserved.
Right.
And I'm always going to be thinking strategically like that for what's going to come down the road, because I just don't know what we're going to get. So if you go and see a doctor as soon as possible, at least we will be able to have that documentation for down the road that will show that this individual did seek medical treatment at the soonest possible opportunity.
Okay.
Now,
that makes
all of that
sense.
being said, Terry, doesn't mean that you necessarily do not have a case if you did not go see a doctor for 5 days after the accident,
Mhm.
10 days after the accident, maybe even more. It does happen, and we are able to get results for those folks. But it does make my job a little bit harder.
Okay.
But just thinking about this holiday season, for example, probably the busiest time of year, I'm sure, for you and
Mhm.
for many of your listeners. You're running around from event to event, family obligation to family obligation, and at the same time, many of the doctors and medical offices have reduced hours. It's harder to get an appointment, harder to get in there. So if let's say 2 days before Christmas you were in an accident and you waited until the 27th, the 28th of December, 29th of December, and you tried to get through that pain, and then when you finally called, they told you, well, it's going to be until the new year before we can get you in. Those things are explainable. These things
Sure.
happen. That's justifiable. But again, if you have the ability to go in and see a doctor that day or the following day, it's always better to go that course.
That makes sense. Great. Thanks for explaining that, Andres. That's wonderful. Again, we're speaking with Andres Oliveros. If you have a question about an automobile accident, you can give him a call right away at 888-467-0312 anywhere. So what happens, Andreas, if I pick up the phone and I call a lawyer? Am I married to this lawyer now? Throughout my entire action?
No, absolutely not. In fact, here in Florida, we're required to explain a number of clients' rights, they call them, to each client when we do the initial intake and sign the contract for a contingency fee agreement, it's called, for an agreement where the attorney's only going to get paid based on a recovery at the end of the case.
Okay.
Which, again, like I was saying, 99% of the time, that's how these car accident cases are handled.
Sure. So
So in that situation, we are required to present the client with a statement of client's rights and to let the client know that they have options and that they have certain rights of which they can avail themselves throughout the course of the case. The most important one that I believe is the right to change your attorney, fire your attorney at any time for any reason.
Okay.
And I'm so confident in my client service and the way that I treat people and the results that I'm able to get through the best efforts that I put forward in every case, that I usually explain that 3 times when a client comes in to see me,
Okay.
because I want them to know, look, you have these rights and you're entitled to know about this. And if you have a problem, of course, I'd appreciate if you would come talk to me first, but you don't have to do that. You can go get another lawyer the minute you walk out this door, 10 days from now,
Right.
next year,
Okay, good.
whenever. And one of the things that's as a part of that that's important for folks to understand is that if you change your lawyer, hire another lawyer within 3 days of you signing that contract, you do not owe anything from your case to that lawyer that you're firing, to your original lawyer. Let's call him or her. Regardless of how much work they've done on your case, if they worked 72 straight hours, you would only be liable to them for real, actual costs that they spent on your case.
Okay.
And it's not even coming. It wouldn't even come directly from you.
Okay.
It would come from your eventual settlement with your second attorney.
Okay.
That would be the only thing.
Okay. That
for
makes
people
sense.
to know.
Yeah. So
But
the
yeah.
out-of-pocket expenses of the lawyer, should be reimbursed back.
Correct.
Right. Well, what about folks that think that they can handle their own case? Can they do it themselves? And then if they get stuck, hire a lawyer. Then is it a good time to do it?
I wouldn't say it's a good time to do it. And it's not only, of course, because I'm self-interested. I'll tell you why in a second. But I will tell you, Terry, that I've had, I can think of at least 3 notable cases where the folks have come to me after handling their own cases, and it's always gotten me. But the people that that handle their own cases are usually, in my experience, the ones that are the most sophisticated, and the ones that have the worst injuries, which it baffles me.
Right. Right.
And yes, it's no secret when you hire a lawyer under the Florida bar rules, the contingency fee agreement that you show your client contains provision for the lawyer to be paid 1/3 of an eventual recovery,
Right.
Provided that the case does not go into litigation. So yeah, 1/3 is not a small amount.
No,
it's not. But and here's how I can go to sleep at night and look at myself in the mirror in the morning. The added value that the right representation brings to just about any case exceeds that 1/3. I had a case once where a mother was handling the case for her daughter, who was involved in a massive collision on Highway US 27 down there in Sebring, which is equivalent to US 19 here in the western part of Florida. And this young lady, 17 years old, never been involved in any accident, had a complete rotator cuff tear in the left shoulder. The coverage was there, but the insurance company would not pay it out, MRI results were there. Everything was just clear as day.
Right.
They were offering a fraction of the available coverage. She handled this case on her own for close to a year, and she thought that the insurer would act reasonably. Again, like I said at the beginning of the program, they're there to make money.
Sure.
And they make money by not paying you.
Okay.
So she came to me within 2 weeks of my handling the case, firing off letters, talking to the adjuster. We had the full policy limits tendered, and which were at least 4 to 5 times what she had been initially offered. So that's just an example of, yes, you're going to have to pay a lawyer because we do work,
right? And
we have to get paid for the work.
Okay.
But the added value, in my experience, the vast majority of the time is going to greatly exceed the 1/3 that you're going to have to pay.
Sure.
So to answer your question more directly, yes, of course you can handle your case. Yes, there's nothing stopping you from handling your case. But number one, the majority of the time you're not going to be able to get the full value that you're entitled to, that you deserve, because the insurance company is going to know that you are not an expert, that you are not a lawyer, that you're not handling, that you're not intimately familiar with the details of these types of cases, because you don't do it day in and day out like we do, and they're going to lowball you every single time.
Okay.
So
you wouldn't even know. You don't even know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then to answer your next question, where you say, okay, well, what happens if I just give it a go and let's see how it goes, and maybe down the road, if I get stuck, okay, then I'll go and call Andres. I'll go and call another attorney. That's all well and good. And in the case of this girl that I was telling you about with the torn rotator cuff there in the left shoulder, we did get the full policy limits, and that was all that was available. The tort fees of the person who caused the accident had no assets, so there was nothing else to go after. Um, and the mother did not prejudice or didn't do anything to harm her case. Let's say, but that's not always the case.
Right.
Again, going back to keeping your mouth shut, you can't keep your mouth shut when you're representing yourself.
That's very hard to do.
By definition. You're going to have to talk to that insurer. You're going to have to make
Sure.
statements. And again, where they can gain a tactical advantage, they're going to gain that tactical advantage. So I'd rather be involved from the very beginning and cut off any opportunity for that to happen.
Okay. Okay, great. Is there, with people who maybe are defending themselves and they think it's a minimalistic accident, I mean, is there opportunities for all of a sudden the accident situation to switch? You think it's one way, you leave the accident, everybody's thinking it's the same thing, and then all of a sudden it's like this major thing, and you're like, whose accident were you in? Because the whole thing can switch around now because somebody might say, oh, there could be money or something attached to this. Does that happen?
Sure. It could happen. You have to. It's no secret. Here in Florida, there's, or at least there was, rampant fraud. The legislature is taking steps to curb that fraud. I don't know that that it has had the intended effect.
Mhm.
But the fact remains that yes, there are people out there that are trying to gain an advantage and trying to get paid money that they're not entitled to. So sure, my job really is to identify that
Okay.
and stay as far away from that as I can.
Got it. Okay. We are speaking with Andres Oliveros, personal injury attorney serving the entire state of Florida with offices on West Cypress Street down in Tampa, Florida, and also down in Sebring on US Highway 27 in North Sebring. If you are injured in an automobile accident, give Andres a call. He'll be happy to answer your questions, talk to you, give you some direction, just make you feel like you're a person, talk to you in English or Spanish so that you understand what's going on and feel comfortable. He can be reached at 888-467-0312. Andreas, we're getting close to the bottom or the top of our hour. I have just want to ask you quickly before we are getting involved now with the holidays, and so again, like you mentioned, some really busy times. We're going to be running around, and is there any advice really that you can give us that we can carry with us in our pocket that we can know and keep it tucked away in case we do have an emergency and need to do something from an accident?
Sure. Well, before I get to that specific question, I just like to say, in the holiday season, there's we all know plenty of opportunities to gather, and many of those gatherings involve alcohol. And I just can't stress this enough. The uh, the legislature in Florida has passed laws that make being involved in any drunk driving incident, especially a drunk driving accident causing injury, they make it very, very, very painful for folks. Um, Many times involving suspension of your driver's license and personal restrictions, sometimes even jail. So, not to mention, of course, the fines and just all the money that you're going to have to pay in court costs and everything else. So, I just can't stress enough to your audience, Terry. You cannot be caught drinking and driving, and the best way not to be caught drinking and driving is not to drink before you drive.
Okay,
And the
makes
threshold
sense.
is so low It really is. Many people think, oh, it's just 2 beers. Well, I got news for you. A sip of beer, even though it's under 0.08, a sip of beer, if it impaired your faculties, is a DUI right there. That's all that's needed. But as far as tips, what I would really say is just try to avoid getting in an accident in the first place. Be careful who it is that you get in a car with. When we're going to our holiday festivities, it's very common for folks to carpool, for somebody to give me a ride to the store because mom forgot the flour for the gravy, and Uncle Joe, he's good to go, but maybe he's had a little bit too much to drink. Oh, but it's no big deal. It's up the street. You really have to be cognizant and know that law enforcement is out there in full force, especially now around the holidays. So try to avoid being in those situations in the first place. Now, if you do find yourself in a situation where you are involved in an accident around this holiday season, again, take care of yourself first. Make sure you get the medical treatment that you need, even if it means going to the emergency room straight from the accident. I'm not telling you to, if you feel fine after an accident, you feel fine. But if there's any doubt in your mind that something's just not quite right, but you're one of these people that believes, I never go see a doctor, I never go to the hospital, why am I going to do that?
Right.
I say, no, this is the time to avail yourself of anything that you can.
Okay, great. Wow, that was a tremendous amount of information that we covered on this session, and I'm sure we could talk for hours on this very, very subject. So much to know. Right? No, there's so much to know and so much to do. So really, what I hear is, when in doubt, check it out, and definitely, call a lawyer. He can tell you if it makes sense to, just go home, or if it makes sense to, this something that really does require somebody who knows what they're doing.
Sure.
So if you need somebody who knows what they're doing and really comes from a place of integrity, Andres Oliveros, personal injury attorney in Tampa and in North Sebring, can be reached at 888-467-0312. And again, questions can be answered on either his English website at www.oliveroslaw.com or by visiting www.injuryattorney.es, which is in Spanish for you. Andres, I do want to thank you again for being a guest on our show. What a great program we had today. Thank you so very much.
It's been a real pleasure, Terry. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. And you've been listening to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio. We will see you next time. And until then, just a reminder, go mind your business. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Go Mind Your Business with Terri Bork, presented by Extreme Marketing Concepts. If you want to drive more traffic, dominate the market, and crush your competition, find out how by visiting our website, www.extrememarketingconcepts.com. And join Terri next time for another episode of Go Mind Your Business.